We're gonna try real hard not to say the F-bomb, okay? Oh my God. Okay, so, hi, I'm Christy Campbell. You probably don't know me, and if you do, it probably has an F word in the middle of my name. So hi, nice to meet you. It is beyond an honor to get up here and introduce this, because I think I was trying to remember, I think the first time I came to this conference was with this person, and also this person was speaking at this spot. So it gives you chills in weird ways, and let's try not to F this up, shall we? Okay, so, the Jennie Kellogg Achievement Award, Professional Excellence, influenced other women, opened doors for women lawyers, advanced opportunities for women. This person satisfies all of these requirements, and then some. And as a precursor, I've stolen a lot of stories, and I apologize. I'm gonna try really hard not to say names, we'll see how that goes. This person is a Jayhawk, which some people find to be important. As she has received both of her degrees from KU, I feel like I should mention it, even though I didn't go to KU and I don't know what the big deal is, but I feel like whatever. Following graduation from KU School of Law, and again, I have notes because I don't know who these people are that don't have notes. She has continued to work for 40 years at the same establishment, though, I mean, it's gone through some revamping, name changes, she's changed titles a couple times, though it's always helping the underprivileged. She's been active in every bar she's been a member of, and then some. She's sat on statewide, local bar association boards, been adjunct faculty, you know, that KU Law School that everyone's so big about. Won every award eligible, President's Awards, Elizabeth Ferguson Award, Louise Maddox, YWCA Woman of Valor Award, Liberty Bell Award, KU Law, Distinguished Alumni Award, multiple Outstanding Service Awards, the list goes on. I am pretty sure I met her prior to my graduation from law school, and I'm sure you probably did too, given that she's given thousands, I'm gonna say thousands, I'd say definitely hundreds, probably thousands of presentations, and you've likely seen at least one of them. She presents to students, law students, the public at large, attorneys, judges, clerks, senior citizens, and all, and this is gonna give this away, I'm sure, while managing 40 attorneys across 11 offices. And if you're keeping count, that's 111 total employees. And keeping up a small caseload in between her grant reports, applications, projects, lobbying, and general, you know, we'll say hobbies. She somehow managed to hire mostly women, and women willing to work big firm hours for public interest pay, so she has an eye for the mission-driven lawyer. She accommodated pregnancies, breastfeeding, long before it became mainstream, and helped prove that having a family and being a lawyer was totally possible, no big deal. Rumor has it that her and her husband had starring roles in the educational film for Lama's class at Westlake, so you're all way closer to a star than you know. She taught many lessons as a manager, and this is where I'm co-opting stories. She helped train many a baby lawyer, myself included. If you're asking, why does Mary Jo hate me so much, she would probably reply that Mary Jo was probably wondering why you hated her, teaching that if your relationship with a coworker is strained, figure out how you're not meeting that person's expectations. Fix it. When you screwed something up and her response was to reduce potential harm to the client, let's put the fire out, and then let's use that opportunity to create systems that would reduce the likelihood of that ever happening again. You know, proving that mistakes are opportunities to learn or something like that. Signs of a very professional manager. By all accounts, she was also entertaining to work with, and if you drove with her in her car to court, she would drive while looking at you. And on special occasions, she would also dictate her typing while she was driving. For you young kids, that's where you talk into a microphone and then somebody puts it on paper. When in Wichita, she went to church at the Presbyterian Church downtown and would sit in the back and sneak out to go to Taco Tico during the service because tacos are life. She hid in the basement of the Hardys during the Andover tornado. I feel like this is like trivia, like I'm like narrowing this down. She was returning from a business trip up north on the turnpike and she accidentally flushed the keys to the office car, but luckily for her, when she walked out of the bathroom, Judge Beasley happened to be there, so she hitched a ride back to Wichita with him. And no, they never found the keys. She's crafty, she quilts, she glues, she creates. But she makes others crafty. But You don't have to take my word for it. Carol?
Carol Grady?
I got her. I totally won that arm wrestling. I don't know what that's about.
Well, I frequently get mixed up with Carol Byer, you know. So that happens all the time. Oh, once Kay Tibbetts called me, and she was surprised it was Carol Brady, and she was really calling Carol Byer. It was actually at a quad meeting, I think at Emporia, so it was appropriate. Okay, so you gave away a lot, so I just want to say this, and I have to read, so this recipient was one of the first wave of women attorneys. And through her careful and excellent work, she set an example for the women attorneys who came after her, like me. She was a wonderful mentor, both in the law. She was really good at explaining complex things in a really easy to understand manner, which I needed. But also in my personal life, she, I think her husband must have taken the kids to daycare because she actually drove me to work every day for a while until one day I was late, surprise, and she came to get me and her car rolled back, and anyway, she quit taking me to work. And so when you're a new lawyer, your mentors are really important, and I was truly lucky and fortunate to have a mentor who was also a woman attorney. And she made many things easier for those who came after her. And when she started, the Bar Association sent out letters to members, and they were always addressed to Mr. So-and-so. And because of her efforts and others in her era, I never got such a letter.
Carol, this is fun. I like this. Stand up here. Yeah, we're gonna line this up. That's right. I was gonna introduce myself that way, but you beat me to the punch. I'm Carol Byer. Guys, get it straight. So my first exposure to our honoree was 39 years ago. I was a toddler. Of course, no. I was a second-year law student, and I was working in what was then called the Kansas Defender Project at KU. And yes, and the supervising professor suggested that I call our honoree because there were documents I needed from Wichita to help a client. And he thought that this person might be able to assist me. I'd never met her, of course. And by that time, she'd been in practice for a number of years. She had already risen to leadership in her organization. And she had about 1 million things on her plate. But she welcomed my call, and she was generous with her time. And she treated me like a colleague who was worthy of nurture. So for nearly 4 decades now, I've watched our honoree do exactly this for all those women Carol talked about. Countless young women, law students, young women lawyers. For many, she's been a first boss. For me, she was an early and active and encouraging colleague, mentor, and friend. And I could not recommend anyone more deserving of Jennie Mitchell Kellogg Award. So I look forward to the presentation. Martha.
I think I get the privilege of being the oldest here in regards to the amount of time in which I have known the honoree. And I think that's the joy of being able to watch someone from the very beginning of their legal career and know exactly where it's going to go. And you may think that's odd, but it actually isn't. When you see the heart and soul of someone, in the work that they want to do, and then make sure that they do. But more importantly, make sure that all of those around them, be it their employees, be it judges, be it legislators, be it anyone who's willing to get their ear, to the issues that are important in making the lives of people in the state of Kansas, and not just in the state, but across the country, important. Because often the law does not accomplish that. And to have someone whose voice consistently with dignity, but with a forcefulness that is imperative when you're dealing with people who dehumanize other people because of their state in life, that's an important skill. And I saw it from the very beginning.
The nice young women at my table said we should have a CLE about speaking into the mic. 3 quick stories about tonight's honoree. First, though we know each other well professionally, I spent the most hours with her on uncomfortable metal bleachers watching our not particularly gifted boys participate in various sports. One of the things Christy asked us to share is, what have you learned from her? And I remember in the late 90s, she showed up to one of these uncomfortable positions and said, as we had talked about how hard it was to have a family and to practice law, I just discovered this thing called online bill pay, and it's going to change your life. Now, I think Christy thought I might share something about leadership or law, but I'm telling you, the online bill pay tip, it was a good one. Fast forward to the year 2000, a new reporter shows up at the Wichita Eagle. It's his first day. Because reporters are incredibly socially awkward, no one takes him to lunch. He walks out of the building, he walks to a local restaurant. He's standing in line, and tonight's honoree and Carol Brady are in line also. They talk to him. By the time they get a table, they invite him to have lunch with them. A couple of weeks later, we're creating a judicial forum, and they ask me, would I moderate the forum? And I say yes, and they say, we met this reporter, we think he should be on the panel. And I say, okay, that sounds fine. And 5 years later, I marry him. Final story. It is the pandemic. I am with said reporter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are sitting at the kitchen table working across from each other, and tonight's honoree calls me and asks me, will I do her a favor? What she asked me to do is something I've never done, something that I think I'm not sure I can do, something I think if I do this poorly, I'm going to look stupid, and there will be awkward silences, and I agree to do it. And this person with whom I have spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, asks me a question that probably most of us could be asked, which is, why did you say yes? And I said, well, because she asked me. Everything she asks me to do, because she does so much for so many, I say yes. She asked me to help with the PFA docket? Yes. She asked me to give a CLE with her? Yes. She asked me to be the president of this organization? Yes. She asked me to lead a retreat with her multi-member board on Zoom when I did not even understand what Zoom was. And I said, yes. So everybody say it with me, is she deserving of this award? Yes!
Christine.
This person was a great leader of the backstage crews in the Wichita bar shows. She took over after learning at the hand of another master stage director and QA member, Gloria Flinchy. Can you imagine, colleagues, how hard it was to organize, build sets, props, do those body mic transfers on sweaty bar stars? And this included one enormous red, white, and blue balloon drop at the end of an Act 1. All of this with type A lawyers. This person did this beautifully. Her crews had a ball, they had a blast, and truly operated as a team. She was a firm but fun leader of those behind the scenes, unsung, make it happen heroes. My earliest memory of this person was from my first bar show in 1987. That was 35 years ago. We did a Ziegfeld Follies type number called Surrogate Motherhood. Ron Williams, a great bass, was singing the solo, playing plaintiff's lawyer Jerry Michaud, getting into a whole new field of plaintiff's work after that Mary Beth Whitehead case on surrogacy came on the national news. The song was Marion the Librarian from Music Man. So, to class up this number of very questionable taste, I suggested, of course, ballet. You know, ladies doing real ballet, lady lawyers. Hence, a corps de ballet of lady lawyers blossomed in white satin muumuu weddings dresses, white floral headpieces with little veils, white gloves. We cut hula hoops in half and taped them with white tape and silk flowers and streamers. This was a beautiful number. Fun fact, Mary Kay Royce was in this number, and there are several people here who were also in this number. So that was that. But the visual joke for me was to put all these ladies with pillows underneath their tummies so they would look like pregnant brides. This was the joke of the bar show. All of us got these pillows, but not this person. By the time of the bar show, she was pregnant and showing for real. That was true dedication to the tradition of the Wichita bar show. From ballet to glue guns. This person has hosted Crafting with Qua at her home in Lawrence for years. From my point of view, what a wonderful way to introduce some of these young law students at Washburn and KU to the value of mere chit-chat with other lawyers and maybe make a nice RBG neck piece at the same time. It has been fabulous for these young law students to be exposed to more experienced female, highly successful attorneys, especially a public interest lawyer in her home. And by the way, her sewing room is on steroids. Her generosity in doing Crafting with Qua is remarkable, and many other things.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ewart, and I'm going to continue to talk about belonging, because you just heard about how our honoree has welcomed people into her home to do crafts and drink wine, so much wine, to eat candy corn, so much candy corn. But she has done other things too to make people feel like they belong in our community. And that is that she has led the largest organization of really badass attorneys who have helped people who don't have a voice in the system tell their story before judges, before administrative agencies, and to be seen. And yes, thank you to this person and all of her attorneys and paralegals and their staff for making this a more just state, for improving the quality of the law by advocating for people before these tribunals, and also for helping shape the statutes. When she is asked to testify, only when asked to testify. And so we just want to say thank you for making this a place where we belong, those of us who are new to Kansas, where students find that they belong, but also where our clients who don't necessarily have anyone else who sees them as people to say, this is a person who is a Kansan, who is important and has a place in our community. So thank you to our honoree.
Hi. I'm short. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will. The one thing I want to say about our honoree is, it's very clear that she has taught and touched so many of us women lawyers in the state of Kansas. She has inspired me personally, along with everyone else. I was a late to school, law school graduate. I didn't graduate till I was 44. I was passionate, I was excited, and she embraced that and built with that and worked with me on that and inspired me to do the best I can everywhere, in every aspect of my life, not just my legal work, but to be a good person, to look out for other people, to always be thinking about what people need, and especially when it comes to the law. What she probably doesn't know is that she's had a ripple effect, because clearly Kansas has been greatly impacted in the most positive way by her very existence in this field. When I left Kansas, and I've got to practice in Missouri now, I took everything that she taught me with me. So she's impacting Missouri, because when I'm asked, hey Rayanne, can you take a case for us for somebody that doesn't have access to legal representation? I say, yes. Yes, I can. And I do it anytime I'm asked. And not just that. I took what she taught me, and when new attorneys come to my area, I always take them to lunch. I always encourage them to do their pro bono hours and to specifically provide those pro bono hours to people who maybe can't afford representation or can't get access to legal representation. So I think it's really important to know that her existence is not just for us, it's for everybody she touches who touches other people.
The vast majority of my memories of this person are actually sitting on the very hard seats of House Judiciary. And while we were often on the opposite side of just about every issue, I always knew that we would meet in the middle and find civil discourse, and she was somebody who wanted to be on the opposite side of an issue. In fact, my last session lobbying, one of the attorneys that I'd mentored was talking about a bill, and I said, well, did you talk to insert name? Well, no. Why? I was like, well, if it were me, I sure would. And so for somebody that can only testify when asked, that's saying something.
All right, there's so much that has already been said about this award recipient. I really had to think about what I could add. And I will point out that none of us got together to talk about this ahead of time, so I think it's really neat that so many of our stories really have the same themes, because I think that speaks a lot to the character of this person. I can say I wouldn't be where I am in my career today without her guidance and influence. There I was, a brand new baby lawyer, no prospects for employment, in the middle of a terrible recession, volunteering my time and joining everything I could in hopes that one day, something would happen. I'm fairly certain the first time I met her was here in Lindsborg at this conference. And I was touched by how she demonstrated a genuine interest in me, my story, and my future. She encouraged me to join my state and local bar associations, which I did, as many as I could, and continue my volunteer work. Something would come along, and she was right. Something did. And the thing is, I know that I am not the only one. She's guided, encouraged, and gently influenced the lives and careers of so many attorneys across the state and across the years. Many of you are here in this tent right now, and I can say that we are all so very grateful.
I promise, just a couple more.
So I'm the 11th person talking at this point, so I'll make sure to keep it pretty short. I don't think I could imagine a person more deserving of this award. The dedication that she has to Kansans in general, all Kansans, is unmatched. But specifically women lawyers. She has always been a champion for young female lawyers. She will open doors for you that you didn't even know you needed opened. She brought me to my first Lynchburg conference, and one great example, I'm gonna forego my notes. One great example of her pushing me to make connections with other lawyers was at this conference. She dropped me off. I didn't know anyone here. The only person I knew was her, so I was glued to her the whole time. And she drops me off at the washburn reception at the Stuga and just looks at me and goes, well, you better meet some people because you got to find your own way back. Unorthodox, but very effective. And that was just one of the many, many things she has done for me over the years. I haven't worked directly with this person in a long time, and yet to this day, her influence shows in everything I do. I could go on for hours and hours, but I think the point has been made.
Okay, I promise I'm the last one. We're also getting younger and younger, so. I'm 27! I am the toddler that Justice Meyer said she was not, right? I am a first-year attorney, and I am this person's last direct report, so I appreciate your patience in getting to me, and also I appreciate Christy's commitment to keeping me in this. This person, first of all, I mean, what can I even say that hasn't been said already? So I think I'll keep it light and I'll keep it short, just so that we can go from this like really deep emotional understanding of this person's commitment to people, not only at the beginning of her career, in the prime of her career, but in her last year. She has committed so many hours to me as a lawyer, and that's so meaningful. So two things. One, she bullied me into being here today, and I thank her for that. Second, I have learned nearly everything I know about the law as this person's direct report. But one thing that she taught me that's been really useful, actually proved useful at my first trial last week, was if you have a gross fact in a case, just repeat it until the judge ends the trial. And it worked,
So, from the hundreds of thousands of Kansans that she has directly impacted their well-being, their lives, their everything, to the hundreds of attorneys, be it female, be it male, be it young, be it not so young, she has influenced everyone and the law. So it is with great pleasure that I would like to announce the winner of the Jennie Mitchell Kellogg, Marilyn Hart.
This process is that the tears went away a while ago. I just want to say,
In my high school, they kissed the homecoming queen, but we're not going to do that. Unless you just want to.
two quick things. I hope to get a picture taken with Martha Hodge Smith at some point tonight, because at the second picnic right here, there's a classic picture of she and I from this event, and that's, as she says, it goes back a long ways, but we were sitting here someplace, still kicking. The other thing I just want to, the things that I've learned from Claude, the support I've felt from you all has been great. I've chaired the conference and been president of the organization and picked Gay, who did a far better job than I did in her years. So picking her to be president was my greatest achievement. But I have to say that for the past 4 or 5 years, for those of us who were at that second picnic, to see the way this organization and younger members have taken the leadership has been a relief is one thing, a promise of a future of this organization is another thing. I mean, there were serious talks about whether this organization would survive, and then these younger women said, of course it will. We're here to do it. And so I have to say that's for many of us in this room, that's been wonderful. The personal part that's been wonderful is that they created this position called assistant treasurer, from which I've done very little as treasurer, but I've been on the executive committee to say, you know, this idea you're thinking about, here's the pitfall, we've tried that, here's the molehill we'll have to get over about that. You know, being the sort of whatever that role is for these young leaders in the role they created for me has been very meaningful, and so I appreciate that. I appreciate this award. I just appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, yoga. I appreciate Eunice not mentioning how badly I did at her yoga class, because she could have gotten up here and said that. So you think the embarrassing stories were told, but they were not all told. Thanks very much.